All right, welcome back to another episode of the 2315 Sports Show. We're kind of back to our normal routine here of going live. So right now we are live on YouTube and X, aka Twitter. Always will be in my mind. We are on episode 14. Today's episode, we're going to talk a little of the chaos that happened in March Madness, and then it's my personal favorite time of the year. It is opening weekend in the MLB, so that's kind of exciting. So kind of just diving right into it. Early round reactions to March Madness. I know you're gonna have a sore time with this one. So we'll kind of save that for here in a second.
Yeah.
But quite a few, and I don't know as I'd call them upsets. There were upsets. There were several, but some of them, I don't know. That seeding kind of, they were upsets, but I mean the better team was ranked lower in my opinion. I don't know what you thought of some of them. So
Right. Yeah, there's I know we kind of touched on that last week with, the seating just kind of being a little weird, but uh there were a lot of good games, but there also were, I think a few upsets, of course, Kentucky,
mm-hmm.
that one hurt pretty bad. Calling them a national championship
The
contender,
week
and then
before,
what was it like? 30 minutes later, I'm finishing wrapping up the game and we're losing, and so it was heartbreaking for sure. But there were a lot of good games the first couple weekends, and some good games going on this week. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how everything plays out, because it's been a really good tournament.
yeah, it has. It's good to see different, like, just different teams make it. In other words, like,
Yeah,
but there for a while, we had kind of a rut, kind of like football is right now, of like the same teams getting in over and over and over again, and they were going to be there come Final Four time. So this year,
yeah,
it's a nice change. Actually, the past few years, it's been kind of a nice change of that. I think the one takeaway from the early rounds and even rounds now, because they did play last night, UConn is an absolute monster. They
yes,
are dominant. Like, they are on one mission and one mission only, and that is to blow everyone out and win the title. Like,
yeah.
nothing else.
Yeah, they're
They're
definitely
insane.
they're a powerhouse for sure. So just kind of looking at the bracket, you know, round one they win by 39.
Yeah.
Then they round two they win by 20, and then they win by 30 last night. Like
Against a
San
five.
Diego San Diego State rematch of last year's championship game,
Yeah.
and it was like the first half I was watching. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, this could be a really good game. This could be kind of a trap game for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second half was just ridiculous.
Crazy.
But I'm looking forward to seeing, the Elite Eight when they play Illinois tomorrow. That'll be a really good game.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them have good offenses, so it's going to be cool to see. But Dan Hurley's got those guys just locked in and
Yeah.
ready to go.
And I mean, they lost everyone, didn't they? Like, this is a whole brand new team. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Like, they lost a
brand new
lot.
starting five. Yeah, so they started fresh, and that's why I guess at the beginning of the year you're kind of like, is this team going to be that good? And then they
Yeah.
just
Yeah. They
it's
caught.
just it's a lot different. I mean, their team
They're
looks
insane.
different, but they're playing the exact same as they did last year, which is awesome to see.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. They're ridiculous. Like,
They are.
I, the way they're playing, it, you might as well bet the house on them because there's no one beating them. Like, I said that I think the last show I watched Purdue and the way they played, it won't matter. Like,
Yeah.
UConn is just, and they have the better coach. Like, he's got him focused. He's ready to go. There's no smiling. There's just straight ball, and that's it. So,
Right.
um, that's good to see. Like, UConn, I mean, they were actually think back in the day, weren't they the heartbreakers of you as well with Kemba back in the
Yeah,
day? I
yeah.
think against
So
Kentucky.
we beat them one year. I think it was the year before we won the championship, maybe, or
Mhm.
the year we won the championship, and then the year after with Julius Randle and James Young, they beat us in the championship game.
Yeah,
We were
yeah,
just a little overmatched, but they did. Shabazz
and they
Napier
really,
was our star that year.
yep, and they really hadn't been anything since. I mean, since last year. I mean, last year obviously, but
Yeah.
um, it's kind of good resurgence of them, and they still the Big East? Is that still a
Um.
conference for them? I think it is, but I don't know if they're in it still or not. Um,
Honestly, I don't. I don't know. I'm gonna.
I think they are with because the Big East is actually really good this year,
I
shockingly.
guess it is.
Um,
Yeah, they're in the Big East still. Yeah,
yeah,
them
and they
Marquette,
were good.
Creighton, Seton Hall,
Yeah.
St. Joe's,
Um,
Villanova,
so
Providence,
that's good.
Butler. But
I
yeah,
mean, that's good to see that. I mean, a non-top, Power Five is competing. So um, it was a good early rounds again. I don't know what happened to your boys. They ran into the one team that caught fire for one game, and then that team gets demolished the next round. So,
it's ridiculous because 2 years ago St. Peter's,
mhm.
this year happens to be Oakland. That
Which
kid,
you were scared of. You called that. I mean, you were worried about it. Like,
yeah, it's they and it's just you get a team that has nothing to lose,
yeah,
and they play so freely. And this
mhm,
kid, who's you know, Golke, just goes nuts shooting the ball.
mhm,
And I seen this crazy stat, which I don't know if you've seen it. Through the year, he shot 323 pointers, shot eight
okay.
2 pointers all year long.
Oh wow, wow.
So, like, and when he was just hitting everything, and towards the end of the first half, he kind of crossed over and faded to his right and banked one in. I was like,
It's
we're
over.
losing. I knew at that point, it's like, we're not winning this game.
No.
And we couldn't buy a shot. Reed
Mm-mm.
Shepard played awful. Dillingham was playing a lot of hero ball, and he couldn't do
Mhm.
it. Antonio Reeves was the lone bright spot, and I mean, I hate to see him go, but what a way to go out. Having
Yeah.
a good performance, but in a loss, it kind of
Yep.
sucks. So it hurts, but
Is what it
I
is.
I don't want to say, oh, let's just wait till next year, because that's what all Kentucky fans say. Oh,
Yeah.
next year, but it's getting redundant, and I'm kind of sick and
Mhm.
tired of it. So
Well,
we'll see.
that's a lot of heat. I mean, that's a school and fan base that doesn't settle well with first round knockouts. Like even second, I mean, that's championship or bust every year. Used
Yeah,
to be. I mean, recently it hasn't been. And I mean, you got to ask your question, like, because we were talking about this during and kind of afterwards, like, and I know they're keeping him, but do you agree with keeping Calipari
no,
at this point?
not at
Like,
all.
I just don't think they want to do the buyout. I think that's their biggest
Well,
reason.
I was reading, and they were like, if Barnhart wants him gone, the $33 million will be there, and but like I think between their meeting, Cal was kind of like, "Hey, look, I've got all these guys coming in. We had we have a lot of good players on the roster now,
Mhm.
and a lot of them are going to come back." Which Thiero just hit the portal.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think Onienso either goes pro or hits portal. Justin Edwards is gone pro. Dillingham's gone pro. But I think they're kind of banking on Reed Shepard coming back, and the only way he comes back is if Cal's there.
Yeah.
so I think they're kind of like, hey, we'll bring him back one more year. We have
Mhm.
a good recruiting class coming back in,
Mhm.
so we'll see how things go. But I'm not a huge fan of him coming back. But like I know we talked about it too. Is you got to have an upgrade at a coach
Yeah.
or like even a lateral movement almost
Yes.
someone that like can push the needle still. You can't take a step back. So and all the
And that's
coaches
tough.
that are available are or that could be like the only coach that I would like really loved. And I was talking to our friend Corey, and I was like, Jay Wright would be somebody that would be
Mhm.
cool, but not going to happen. Um, but I really like Mark Few from Gonzaga, but I don't know if I can see him leaving either.
No. No, I don't think he hasn't made. I mean, uh,
Yeah,
that's tough. It's a because that's what we were talking about. I said, everyone's on this train of getting rid of him, and I said, the minute you get rid of him, all your recruits walk. Like
yeah,
all of them. Doesn't matter. Um, whether they go pro or they just walk to the portal. And who do you like? That's not a job you can replace with anyone. It's got to be a name, and I do agree with you. I think it is time for him to go, but it's not because of like recruiting or any of that. It's because I don't. I hate to say that. I don't know as he's a coach because it was a lot of one-on-one ball. It's a lot of it just looked bad. And when they get to this stage, the past couple of years, and it's like he's lost the passion to coach them instead of getting them to the NBA, which I don't know, you might have a different look, but they need a coach now. Like like a
yeah,
Dan like, like Hurley and Few and those guys that yeah, they can recruit. I mean, again, you don't need to recruit these days. You're Kentucky basketball. Like,
yeah,
there's nothing to recruit. Either you wanna come or you don't. Like,
yeah,
and they can move on. It doesn't matter. So I'm big on like all those old school coaches. I saw a thing on Twitter. They're still in the tournament. Like they're hard nosed and they're coaches. So I that's what they need. That's what they need
yeah.
next. So
Absolutely. And so just one more thing I seen that Rajon Rondo and Boogie Cousins were talking on a podcast, and like they were talking about Cal and the Kentucky Standard, and
mhm,
like Rondo's talking about how the Standard is winning and it's championship or bust, and then Boogie's like, well, that wasn't the standard for Kentucky until we got there, and he's like, and
that's
it's
true.
because of Cal, and so he's like Cal, and so Rondo and him just kind of went back and forth for a little bit, and he's like, but Cal gets them to the NBA, gets them to their personal goal, but he doesn't do a good job at getting all of the players to buy in and to play for the name across the front of your
Yep.
chest because a lot of them are there to get their
Yeah.
money and get to the pros. And yeah, we'll play as a team, whatever, but like winning a championship for Kentucky basketball is not their top priority.
Nope.
And
I
while
agree.
you're there for a year, it's what it should be.
Yes. What else do you have to do? Like
Yeah.
if you don't want to go to the overtime elite or go across the overseas. Like
Yeah. When
simple
you're
as that.
looking at, like, and not saying he did, but so Rob Dillingham for
Mhm.
just using him for, you know, an example, somebody that you coming in, you're like, okay, he's a first round prospect. He's looking at the draft boards after every game or once a
Mhm.
week or whatever, being like, oh, hey, I'm climbing, I'm playing well. Let me keep getting mine. Let me
Mhm.
keep doing things where I can climb the board so I can get drafted higher and make that money. Not saying
Yeah.
that's what he did, but just
Makes
for an
sense.
example. So when you're looking at the draft boards constantly, you're worried about getting
Sure.
to the next level to make that money. So
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Which I will say I think Cal promises that.
yeah,
So when a kid, you know, obviously he's going to trust him. Look at his history. How many people, how many Kentucky players in the past 10 years or however long he's been there are in the NBA right now? Like half the
It's
NBA, it seems like. So, I mean, he fulfills his promise. It's just, if a coach expects them to play for the name across their chest, yet you're promising him the NBA, well, you're promising the end goal. Why do I care about the name on my chest? Like,
right.
I mean, I get the kids. I get it. I do, because it's their future. It's their life that they're trusting. So, but I agree. It's a questionable move, but like you said, you'll give him one more year, see what happens.
Yep.
Um, so after that, we go to last night's games, which now I'm in mourning because first Arizona lost because I was like, what the hell? Like Clemson's making some noise. They can play.
Yep.
Um, so I'm like, and I didn't like the Alabama matchup, and personally, it was what 8:40 before the game started. So I can tell you, I watched the tip off in about 5 minutes, and that was it. Like they do better when I don't watch. So
Yeah.
I get up this morning, I look to see they lost by 2, and they were up by half at by like 6, and I'm like, great, it is what it is. Um, but the big thing is, and actually there was a lot of things on Twitter about it this morning. RJ Davis went 0 for 9 in threes. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not blaming him, obviously. It's a team sport, but when your best play, well, so and so-called best player and player of the year candidate, he is the ACC player of the year and the Naismith player of the year in college sports, goes 0 for 9. It's not going to bode well. Like,
Right.
and it sucks because this team was it. I mean, I thought last year's team was it, and they bombed very badly. Um, but even this year, like they had it going. They were killing the ACC. They beat Duke twice, which is a rarity. And I'm like, this is it. And you Snapchatted me. I saw it this morning, but you said, well, I guess I got to cheer for the Tar Heels now. I said, well, that was short. So I
Yeah.
mean, so we're both out. So now it really, to me now, pressure's off. It really doesn't matter what happens.
Yep.
Um, I think. I mean, I am gonna go UConn just because they look the best. I honestly wouldn't mind seeing a little like Illinois. Um, so who would it be? Illinois, like Creighton. Um, who else? Let's see.
Yeah, Houston
Like a
versus Duke tonight.
well, I hope Houston wins. I'm not gonna lie there,
Yeah.
but like a little Clemson maybe. Like I want to
Yeah.
see a random ass Final Four this year.
Yeah. That'd be cool. I'd like to see NC State get in as an 11 seed. That'd be pretty
That wouldn't
cool.
be bad. They can play.
They're up right now. Um, but yeah, I mean, I wanted to hit on the game last night real quick.
Mm-hmm.
When I was watching the game and I watched the whole thing, and then we got to the last 2 or 3 minutes, and I was sitting here thinking to myself, I was like, I know Brian's asleep because it's late,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a good thing that you weren't awake watching the game because it was literally the last 3 minutes was RJ Davis bring the ball up the floor, run around a screen, dribble in, dribble back out, dribble back in, back out, screen, throw up a terrible shot.
Yeah.
And they were winning. And then it was like a tie for Alabama. They hit a three, they hit another three, and it was just, I mean, after
Mm-hmm.
after they tied it up with like a minute and a half left, I was like, this game's over. It's over because Carolina can't hit anything, and RJ
Yep.
Davis was just he was awful.
Yeah.
So it was rough. It was rough to see him struggle so much, um, but looking ahead, like I think UConn is like we said, they're a powerhouse.
Yeah.
I don't see anyone beating them, but maybe Illinois gets it done going into the Elite Eight. Um, I like Clemson, and I know we talked about it
Mm-hmm.
last week too. I said they've got a little magic in them.
Mm-hmm.
They could make a run. So I'm going to stick with Clemson over Alabama to go to the Final Four. And in the rest of them, like I'd like to see Creighton.
I
I
would too.
or Gonzaga. Like midway through the year, Gonzaga they were like Gonzaga's really down year. They're
Mm-hmm.
not competing. They're not good enough. And then they beat Kentucky at Kentucky, and ever since then, it's just been uphill. So
Straight uphill.
honestly, in the South and the Midwest, like I'm good with anybody making it as long as it's not Duke or Tennessee.
I'm about to say it's not anybody because there's two teams in there that
Anybody but Duke or Tennessee.
yes,
So that
I
I'm
agree.
okay with that. So, but
I agree.
I mean, just looking ahead, I don't think anybody's going to beat UConn. They're too good.
No, no. Yeah, and I mean even if the two powerhouses of this year, if it's UConn and Purdue, Purdue can't run with them. Like Edie can't
Mm-mm.
run with them. Like he's not going to be able to run all game with
Yeah.
that. I mean, now I could say, and this might ruffle some feathers for the Kentucky fans if anyone's listening. Tennessee could play UConn very well. They
Yes.
match up with them well, and they can shoot. When they can shoot, they can shoot. Their last game was like 1 for 20 or something. It was horrible. But when they're shooting and the matchups they have,
Yep.
they could keep up with them and they could beat them. But other than that, I don't see anyone. I don't see anyone anywhere close. Honestly.
Yeah. It's Tennessee. They're really good. Between the three, Vescovi,
Mm-hmm.
Ziegler, and Dalton Connect. Dalton
Yep.
Connect to me is the best player in college basketball. He's got a really complete game. He's got a lot of Kevin Durant in him.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think and then Adu, their big guy. He's really tough. And UConn may not have those big names like, oh, he's going to be the guy, but like they've got Cam Spencer, the
Mm-hmm.
guard who shoots lights out. They've
Yeah.
got and they have others who get it done, but like Tennessee's the same way. Dalton Connect goes cold, or
Yep.
they have a lot of other guys that can step up and play. Um, but like the matchup with even Houston, like if Houston can get
Yeah.
there defensively, they're so good defensively
Yep.
that I think they can slow just about anybody down. So, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know offensively how tough they are, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah. I mean, I'd say we're both on UConn's train because just the way they played this whole tournament, there's nobody stopping them unless they
yeah,
just go cold, pretty much. So, but it's been fun. It's been a fun March Madness, other than the losses we took. But it's it's been entertaining. It's been competitive all across the board. Um, and an interesting fact, which I pointed this out, the playing games that get the 10 seed. So I think every 30 win team, besides I think Houston, I think they were technically 30 wins coming in. I can't remember. But all of the smaller school 30 win teams won their first game.
hmm.
So I know James Madison against Wisconsin, they were 31-3 or something. And two of the other ones. I mean, they were 30 win teams from very small conferences. Won. So that to me shows they shouldn't have
Yeah.
been. They should have got better seeds. They should have got those 10 seeds, in my
Oh
opinion.
yeah, for sure.
But I mean, we've touched on that, and we can preach that till we're blue in the face, and it won't matter. But again, good tournament so far. Um, switching gears a little bit, like I said in the beginning, kind of the intro, it is pretty much my holiday weekend. Other than, I mean, it's Easter, so it's that kind of sounds bad, but I'm not throwing that complex out there. But it is MLB opening weekend, so finally baseball is back. Which again, most of it is that means summer's coming, and that's awesome to hear. But it's another year for the Cubs to hopefully get into the playoffs. So that's what I'm shooting for. And the first game, it might be shot in the foot already because our ace went down with a popped hamstring. So he went after to like field a bunt, and he bent down and threw it, and it popped. So he's getting an MRI today. I didn't hear anything. They're thinking with a hamstring could be soon as a month, but it's his plant leg, so I'm doubting that. And they won't rush it. So
it's a long season.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't expect him to rush it. But he was coming in as a Cy Young favorite, and he was going to be it. And he was pitching lights out last night, and then it was over, and we ended up losing in the 10th. But
so forgive me. Who's their ace?
Justin Steele is his name.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Y'all still have Stroman?
No, he left. Actually, we didn't sign him back. So he went to the Yankees, I believe.
Oh.
Yeah, of course. So a weird tidbit. So MLB on X, Twitter, whatever, does the hashtag something, and then the logo comes up. So ours is like hashtag you have to see it. Did you see what Boston's was?
I didn't.
Okay. So it is hashtag dirty water.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's our
and
motto,
I'm like,
dirty water.
And I'm like, why the hell? What the hell is that? And it's like, is it a reference to the Boston Tea Party? Like, is that what they're doing? Because they dumped the tea and that's dirty water?
Honestly, I think so, but I'm not 100% sure. But they've been running dirty water since like 2016.
I mean, it's cool. Like, I like it. It's different. It's weird, but I'm like, what is this? Like, I don't understand it. So, and I actually saw your Boston Red Sox won last night. Last night against the Mariners, who the Mariners are good. So
I know the AL West is stacked this year. So and the Mariners they have, I seen
they're one of them.
They have the best pitching, like 1-2 pitching rotation in the league, and so we come in and won. And Rafael Devers, our lone star, he's he midseason form with a home run, 2 RBIs already. So let's just keep this thing rolling. We're 1-0 on track for 162-0.
Hey, World Series, here you come. You can talk that big. I don't know what they're doing right now or if they play today, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Baseball's, a lot of people don't like it, which is fine. It's a boring game on TV, if you don't enjoy it. But one of the big kind of news of MLB that happened earlier this week, I think, maybe last a little bit, that Shohei Ohtani's interpreter in the $4 million gambling scam. So, and he broke his silence. Ohtani broke and said, he didn't know anything about it. And people that, I'm guessing you're not a millionaire, correct? That's correct.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm just
kidding.
Last time I checked, I wasn't either. But I could not imagine not knowing where $4 million went. So I have a hard time believing it. But then again, they've brought some things up that these interpreters are like they set them up living. They set their bank accounts up. They're the contact on the bank accounts. They're the contact on their bill. I mean, so they're like their parents, in other words. So if you're trusting this person, I can kind of see where that could go wrong. I just don't know if I can see $4 million wrong. Like, that's a lot of money. A lot of money.
It is, and that's where like I do have a hard time believing, the same thing, but at the same time, like I know there's a lot of famous people that have like financial people, and
absolutely.
I mean, his interpreter may be a financial person as well. So, like, I was watching a podcast one day or listening to a podcast, and this guy, he was like, I have a financial guru. And so they're like, how much money do you have in your bank account? He's like, I don't know. And he's like, well, how much money did you make last year? He's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
He said, he's like, if I'm out and I'm like, oh, I see a car that I like. He's like, I call my guy. I'm like, hey, do I got enough money to buy a car? And he's like, yep, go do it. So he's like, I buy it. And he's like, and they may be like, not this month, wait till next month.
Yeah.
And he's like, but he's like, he doesn't, I told him I don't want to go below a certain point in my bank account. But so, like, in a way, I see that, like maybe Otani's like, I'm
Yeah.
just going to spend my money however, and I don't even look at my bank account. But I don't know. I don't know. Even maybe they set it up that way that, he's doing the gambling, and on the
Yes.
side, he's just kind of like, hey, if we get caught,
You're taking the fall.
yeah, you're taking the fall for it because it's
And
not
this
like
dude is
you're
like,
really going to get in trouble. So,
yeah, and this dude is yet to be seen. Like he's back in like Singapore or something, wherever they're from, like wherever he's from. So, um, it's a very interesting. I mean, we'll kind of end on this little note here. It's a very interesting topic because with Pete Rose, who is not in the Hall of Fame and has a lifetime ban from baseball, when gambling as a manager, not a player, a manager, and we possibly have one of the greatest players to ever play the game. And I hate saying that because but he is that guy. Like Otani is that guy. He has proven for the last 7 or however many years he's been in the league that he is that guy. Um, whether he pitches again, I don't know, but even whatever, like he pitched and batted, so that's something we've never seen. His Hall of Fame status gets questioned immediately.
oh, yeah.
And if he's tied to it in any way, which sidebar, MLB can't afford it, so he's not going to be tied to it. But some of those voters that, when he's up for, I don't know, Hall of Fame in 2050 or whenever it's going to be, that are our age, that our parents think Pete Rose should be in, and we think that they're going to say, well, they never let Pete Rose in. We're not letting him in.
Yeah.
And that could be, this could be a big thing. Like this is huge without it like being huge.
Yep.
And it's rough for him. I mean, but if he did it, I don't feel bad for him at all. Like you knew better.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know. It's tough.
Yeah. It is because you see Pete Rose not being able to get in the Hall of Fame when he's more than deserving.
Yes.
He needs to be in.
Yeah.
So how can you have a double standard for,
Exactly.
Otani? But yeah, I mean, you did make a good point with they can't really afford it because
Mm-hmm.
Otani's probably the face of baseball.
Yes.
He's the best player in the league right now.
Yes.
He's arguably the best player to ever play the game because,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a topic, for another time. But like everyone says, Babe Ruth's the greatest, but like, or Barry Bonds or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But I don't think any of those guys can touch what he's doing, what Otani's doing right now. So, um, but I don't know. Just because you don't want to hurt your image right now and be like, well, he's either suspended till we figure it out,
Yeah.
or eventually give him a ban, or however you're going to do that, figure it out. Just because like he's really hitting it with a lot of the younger demographic right
Yes.
now. So like you don't want to drive the younger kids away from baseball,
Yep.
but like, and they may be like, well, it's just betting a little money on some other stuff, but like it's the fact that you aren't letting one guy in for
Mm-hmm.
what he did however long ago, and now it's come up again and you're just gonna like look the other way. It's a little ridiculous.
Yeah. It could end up being a very bad look for the MLB. Like everyone thinks the steroid era was a bad look for the MLB. This could be 10 times worse
Oh, yeah.
because to me, and it's an unpopular opinion and I don't care, but Steroids in baseball, I've always came to this conclusion, do not help as much as people think. Steroids in baseball are to keep you healthy and to keep you ready for the next day. Steroids do not help you hit a 98-mile-an-hour fastball at the top of the zone. It also
Yeah.
does not help you hit a 12-6 curveball coming in at 76 the next pitch. You still got to hit the ball. Now, how fast you swing and how healthy you are, yes, steroids, I will say, help in that. But betting is a whole different ballgame, as we're seeing in this world today, and players, I guess, just don't understand. Like, I don't know how much more money you need. Like,
Yeah.
leave it alone, like, until you're done. And not that I would say he threw a game by any means, because his stats, you can't, there's no way. Like, he's won MVP twice. He's hit 50 home run. Like, he's not throwing games. It's just, it could be a very bad look for MLB. And like you said, you don't want to turn away the young people from playing the game or getting involved in the game. And you don't want to turn away the old from leaving the game, because they're your demographic too. So
Yeah.
it will be interesting. It's a interesting take on that for sure.
Yeah. That's I seen I seen a funny cartoon meme the other day, and it was like Otani between innings, and he's like in the dugout watching horse races on TV, and he's got money in one hand and tickets in the other. And I
Yep.
was like, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
You never know. It's still,
Yeah.
I guess, a sport. So I don't know how that works for
Baseball
them.
baseball's crazy. There's so many like things that go on. Like you've heard the stuff about like Daryl Strawberry, like
Mm-hmm.
taking women into the dugouts between
Oh yeah.
innings, and I'm like, dude's wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
It's
they just do all kinds of stuff in the dugout in the clubhouse between
sure.
innings, and like
No
Manny
pun intended.
Ramirez going into the Green Monster in the seats and just kind of sitting down,
Yeah.
between batters. Like it's pretty cool. There's a lot of interesting things that go on in baseball.
It is. It's an interesting sport. Especially with all the side stories and all that. Um, so that's it for us, I think. A little shorter, but March Madness going on. We don't want to keep people from anything, of course.
That's
And
right.
with the MLB starting, we don't want to keep people from that. So why don't you hit them with the outro quick?
All right, sounds good. Well, we just want to thank everybody for tuning in, however and wherever you may be listening. If you like the content we're giving, like and subscribe on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Pod. We'll see you next week. Peace.